Hey guys, King of Charmanders here. So, I have you data of the top most commonly used Pokemon in Great League. Why does this matter? This is a Great League Remix video. I know Great League Remix is not till another month away. However, I wanted to put this video out there just so that you guys can kind of look at how getting early data can really help you prepare for future cups. In this case, yes, we have a whole, it's not till April, like I mentioned, a few weeks from now, but it might help. This data might relieve some of you, and some of you might actually be really sad that some of these Pokemon are banned, or likely going to be banned. So, as you see here, we have the top 10. What I will be doing is I will be plugging these Pokemon in, and we'll run PV Poke rankings, so you can see what's going to be super powerful, what's going to be super meta, and what you might be looking to use for Great League Remix. As you see here, I am not really surprised of the top 5. The top 5 of Azu, Galarian, Stunfisk, Skarmory, and Swampert. The Swampert core was insanely popular during Season 7 Great League. They were, a lot of people were running the Swamp Skarm core, and then you put Talonflame on the back, or before Talonflame came out, they were still running it. Azumarill is still the most overpowered most overpowered Pokemon of all time in Great League, because it hasn't really been nerfed. Yes, Bubble was reduced in damage, but it's not... when you reduce a move by literally one damage, that doesn't flip a lot of break and bulk points. So, yeah. And, of course, G-Fisk. Well, you know, the Flip-Flop, the Flip-Flop, the Pancake, the Bear Trap, however you want to call it, is very likely going to be banned. It's also part of one of the most popular cores, which is most popular cores and teams, which is the Galarian Stunfisk Pelipper core, as well as having either a Tropheus or Venusaur in the back. Which is why you see Venusaur in the top uses. Venusaur and, I'm surprised that Tropheus isn't up there, but Venusaur is great for several reasons. Venusaur is way more accessible than Tropheus. Also, Venusaur does resist fires, it also resists Charmers. So having a strong matchup against those archetypes makes Venusaur a beast in the back. And like I said, it's a lot cheaper and a lot more accessible because we recently just had the Kanto event. Other picks here, as you see, Medicham, not really surprised too. Medicham XL is a favorite of the meta. Medicham plus Bastiodon or G-Fisk, the Medicham Double Steel or Venusaur Double Steel line is a reason why you see Bastiodon and G-Fisk in the top 10. Also, you see Hypno and you see Altaria. Altaria is very popular along with Umbreon in this list because of the Hypno Double Dark strategy. Hypno Double Dark, which is the most popular ABB team as well as the most powerful one, as you see on this list right here that I'm showing. There's a reason why these Pokemon are so widely used. They were used on the top 5. A lot of these picks were used on the top 5 most powerful teams for Great League for Season 7. So it's not really a surprise that all of these picks are on, or I would say a vast majority of them are on this list. Surprisingly, Pelipper sees less use. Pelipper might be on that list. I don't know, but you will see. As you see, Pelipper, for some reason, has taken the bottom, but I agree. The Pelipper Stunfisk core is very popular. However, a lot of people, like myself, are usually using G-Fisk in the back or using G-Fisk in a lead along with something else. So not necessarily using Pelipper as their safe switch. Still very popular, so you might see Pelipper in there as well as Scrafty. Pelipper and Scrafty might make the list as well as a lot of other Weather Ballers. Altaria is not a surprise. Altaria is an incredibly powerful flyer, especially because of its ability to just do massive damage with Dragon Breath, and along with that, it is a very great typing against a lot of things, mainly fighters, as well as being able to give Venusaur, Pelipper a very hard time, unless you are able to Hurricane or Sludge Bomb it down. So these are the top 10. I'm going to plug them all on PV Poke. Hope you guys enjoy, and let's get to the rankings. Also, I almost forgot to mention that please follow YTX Pikachu on Twitter. He provides all this data. He's a super great analyst and a really great battler. I put his link below on the description. Totally follow him on Twitter. He puts a lot of useful data out here. Enables me to make content, but also allows me to get a leg up on making content for you guys, as well as kind of like my own work. Anyways, so here we go. Here is the custom rankings on pvpoke.com. I filtered in the top 10 Pokemon. Well, the top 10 most common as given by YTX's data. I can do the 2 shield, the 1 shield, and the 0 shield. All you have to do is go with the advanced right here, plug in, play, and here's what you get. This is going to be, assuming that all the data is accurate, which most of it should be in my opinion, the Great League Remix. Behold, Charm and Dragon Central. So, enough of why banning the top 10 Pokemon is a horrible idea. Near the end of the video, I'll rant about that. Anyways, so as far as your leads go, these are your number 1 leads. It's not surprising that the Wigglytuff 2 shield strat or the Charmer 2 shield strat, as you see here, is super oppressive. Why is Scrafty number 1? It's quite simple. Because Scrafty, when you put a meta and you take out essentially the flyers, or basically the 2 most powerful flyers, which are Skarmory and Altaria, guess what runs rampant? Fighters. So guess what's going to be ran to counteract the fighters? Charmers, dragons, or other flyers that can be used. But other than Skarmory and Altaria, there's not a lot of oppressive flyers. You could probably say Tropheus, however, Tropheus can't run. Because Tropheus has Air Slash, yes, you could use Razor Leaf, but there's a lot of things in the meta that will kind of give you a problem with Tropheus just because dragons. So as you see here, Scrafty is the most powerful in the Great League Remix. If the standing's still, it's because Scrafty is able to rev up with Power Up Punch. It's also to run through with Foul Play. With Foul Play, you're able to do not a lot of things resist Dark when you take out, unless it's Charmers, which are fairies, which is why, yeah, Great League Remix. Yay, right? So here we go. This is why Scrafty is number 1. It has excellent bulk, a lot of pressure, and it does really well as long as you can avoid Charmers. You could effectively create a team which basically does Scrafty plus 2 things that counter Charmers, and you'll do really well in the Great League Remix. I know, sounds horrible, right? This is why Wigglytuff. So Wigglytuff, Clefable, and Togekiss are 2, 3, 4. You want to know why these are top Pokemon? Simple. Because Scrafty is number 1. Also Zweilous. These two work very well. As you see, Zweilous and Scrafty are very high on the ranking food chain, only because as long as you can kill the Charmers, they do very well against the rest of the meta. As you see here, Wigglytuff, Charmers, and the other things specifically have one reason: to delete these fighters and the dragons. That's literally why they exist. Or they're literally why they're so good. Essentially, Charmers have been very dominant for... If you like using Charmers, or if you want to simplify your way into the Great League Remix, Charmers work very well, or even just putting one on your team. As you see here, things like Alola Marowak and Polian, there are still some steel typings in the Great League Remix, so this is why you see these picks being still very powerful. However, that plus Dragon Breath users also really run through a lot of things. The reason why Shadow Dragonair and Dragonite or Shadow Dragonite are so powerful is because of the fact that they beat Alola Marowak. Alola Marowak is a very strong Generalist. However, what beats Alola Marowak? Technically, Scrafty does, because Marowak is forced to essentially go straight Bone Club, unless you... And it's even worse if you're running Hex, but this is why it's... Dragonair, the dragons do very well against Alola Marowak. They also take out things like Wishcash. They can force their way through Wishcash. Yes, Wishcash can annihilate you with a Blizzard. However, if Wishcash can't get that Blizzard off, Dragon Breath users with 2 shields are incredibly powerful. Also, the reason why Dragonair is so powerful as well is because it has Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail does very well against Alola Marowak. It also is a very cheap bait move at 35 energy. So it's very, very powerful in this meta. This is why Shadow Dragon is also powerful as well, because it does really good against the fighters. Dragonite is a great... Essentially, Dragonite's really good, or Shadow Dragonite in general, just because it does well against Scrafty. It also does well against Alola Marowak. It does all what Dragonair does, just it also does really well against the fighters, like Scrafty, Obstagoon, and Deoxys defense, because of the flying type. So in other words, if you thought you hated Charm, just wait till the Great League Remix. As you see, the top 10 is mostly composed of either a pseudo dark types or fairy types or dragon types. Literally, that's all it is. This is why banning the top 20 or top 50 would have been a lot better, or banning specific moves. This was a cup where fast move damage at a certain point, like dragons and like Dragon Breath, Charmers, etc., were removed. This would be a lot of fun. But unfortunately, what takes over a meta when you ban the checks and balances? Yes, the super meta is running around like Medicham, Pelipper, etc. What happens when you ban them, though? You get a Charm Fest, and that's a really big problem with Go Battle League's meta. There's no limits on the moves per se, or the damage of the moves. There's no maximum damage. It's just types. Literally types or colors. That's all they've done. Anyways, enough ranting. But as you see, the 2 shield, not looking very well. Even the reason why. So, quick analysis of why Charmers and Dragons are impressive. When you ban Galarian Stunfisk or Steel types in general, or Skarmory and G-Fist to be, guess what happens? Dragons and Charmers run rampant. When you ban when you ban things like dragons, etc., or like, for example, when you ban Altaria, well, that's the same justification. That's why dragons are running rampant. And why Scrafty's #1 is simply like I mentioned before, because of things like Altaria. Like, since Altaria is gone, our very prominent flyers, dragons can run wild. So that's basically why this is the way it is. Anyways, this is the 2 shield. Alright, so we did the 2 shields, so the 1 and the 0 shields will go a lot quicker, just because the 2s spell the story of pretty much how the entire meta is going to go out, but in the 1 shield, things might surprise you. So in the 1 shield, when you take it down a shield, fighters are doing pretty dang well. As you see here in the 1 shield, fighters are very strong. Mostly the cross-chop users or the Night Slash users, as you see here. Scrafty, Deoxys Defense, and other fighters do very, very well because of, like I said, their ability to just do so much pressure and do a lot of damage. You're kind of confused at why Weather Ballers aren't, like, the best thing why don't they do very well? It's just because Counter is an incredibly powerful move. Counter damage plus its energy gain makes it, bar none, the best move in the game as far as, like, overall. As far as damage, it's probably Dragon Breath. However, as you see here, most of it's all counter users, with Zweilous as a lone wolf. The reason why Zweilous is up here is because it beats Alolan Marowak, it also beats other psychic types. So Zweilous, as you can imagine, is going to be pretty dang powerful in the Great League Remix. It's very underrated. So you're gonna see a lot of, if you could keep Zweilous away from fighters, it does very well against everything else. Well, that plus Charmers. Keep away from those two, and you will have a great time against whatever you're locked into. As you see here, fighters do very well, and that's the reason why ice types don't really do well. It's just because with ice types, where Primeape and Machamp can just essentially just blast their way through everything. Along with that, things like Primeape with Night Slash do very well against things like Frostless. That's why you don't see Frostless too well in here. However, Frostless is still going to be really good in this cup. That's the 1 shield, as you see, primarily dominated by fighters, and you have the random Alolan Marowak in there. Alolan Marowak still does really well, just because Alolan Marowak does well against Charmers. So Marowak versus Charmers, Marowak still does very, very well. You have Diggersby here. I wouldn't really recommend it that much, because as thick as Diggersby is, the problem with Diggersby is just fighters run rampant, and as you see here, fighters run rampant, and you can still lose against you can lose against Charmers, and fighters beat the crap out of you. Basically that simple. Plus the Weather Ballers, like I mentioned before, like Politoed and other things, will take out Diggersby in most scenarios. So Diggersby's in here. Now, last but not least, we have the Zeros. So in the Zero Shield, this is going to be pretty quickly, because in the Zeros, it's not too much different than the 1s, to be honest with you, in the sense that Machamp, Deoxys, and other words fighters are still very, very powerful. There's also some other picks you might not think about. Shadow Electivire is very powerful just because of its Wild Charge. Shadow Electivire, if you've kind of seen it, or if you go through the rankings, Shadow Electivire is in the back a lot just because of the sheer amount of nuke ability it has. It can nuke a lot of things in the Zero Shield, or up shields, which is why it's a really good mod. However, fighters will unless you can one-shot the fighters, Shadow Electivire does lose against a few things like Deoxys Defense, Regirock, etc., just because, like I mentioned, if you can't nuke it, it's likely going to kill you, because Shadow Electivire is very, very squishy in Great League. Other than that, Shadow Machamp runs this town along with Surfetch, and the Regis, just because of their energy generation, are very powerful. Shadow Mewtwo is also there, very randomly below. However, Shadow Mewtwo is also incredibly squishy. I mean, it's fun to use, but it's not really worth the resources. Anyways, in the closer, as you see here, in the 1 and the Zeros, fighters are very, very powerful. Just because, like I mentioned, counter is a very strong move. That's why gimmicks like triple counter or double counter users work, just because it's an overpowered fast move. If they ever nerfed counter by even 1 damage or 1 energy, it would create such a huge titanical impact. I don't think they'll ever do it. Anyways, this is the analysis, guys. As you see here, your best bets for the... I'll be doing some, like, Great League Remix team building once it gets closer, and as we confirm, like, what exactly is going to be banned. However, I can pretty much predict these are pretty accurate. Probably 2 or 3 picks from this list will change, as given the data from YTX Pikachu, but you can pretty much bank that the top 4 is going to be banned. Like, Skarmory, Swampert, for sure G-Fisk and Azu, those picks will definitely, I'm probably like 90% sure those will be banned. They're not banned, then I really want to see what they're doing, because Niantic, like, there's no freaking way those 4 are not going to be banned. Anyways, like I said, as it gets closer to Great League Remix, I will post team building, etc. The reason I'm not going to do it now is just because, like I said, like, this gives you a pretty good... This is a little bit of an early analysis to give you a good idea of what Great League Remix looks like. As you see here, Fighters and Charmers are very, very powerful. And so is Violus and other Dragon Breath users. So that's going to be Great League Remix in a nutshell. And it's a very... it's not going to be a lot of fun. But the good thing is, if you do not like the Great League Remix, you could just do Open Great League, yeah. It's not going to be much different. Well, it's going to be different because everything's allowed, but if you want to get away from the fighter slash charmer slash really not really that great meta, even though it looks like it's good, yeah. But the good thing is this shows that Niantic is capable of banning specific mons, so maybe one day we'll get to choose when we get to pick mons to ban for a battle or something more complex, because Go Battle League needs more things. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, later on I'll be doing Great League Remix teams. Good luck on your Go Battle League sets. Hope you guys are climbing well. If not, there's plenty of time. You have plenty of time. I'm almost veteran, and there's, like, I'm, like, 1 point for veteran. I'm not stressing. Like, yeah, that's high, but I'm not really stressing out, because we have 2 months to make Legend. Good luck on your Battle League sets again, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Oh, yeah, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I always forget to say that, even though it's, like, right there. Yeah. Please sub. Thank you.